Morning, this is Andrew Holland, G4VFL, and we're going to do a HEMA today, which is supposed to be the most remote hill in England, called Glendhu Hill, Golf Hotel Sierra Bravo 005, and I'm just parked at in the forest, well, just beginning of the forest. You follow the forest road for the first part of the journey from the main road, which is the last of the public highways, and then you come to a place where it says no unauthorised vehicles beyond this point, and as you can see it's on the sign, and from there I'll be on foot. There's two barriers here, so you couldn't even go beyond this point even if you wanted to, unless these barriers are unlocked, and I haven't had a look at that yet, so I'm just getting my boots on. Well, this is the Anglo-Scottish border, and we're just going to cross from England. I'm on England now, over the river, and you can see it down there. Not exactly a vast flood running down there, and crossing into Scotland. And this is into Scotland. Welcome to Scotland. And what do I spy here through the trees? The point of junction between England, Scotland, Cumberland and Northumberland. So we'll go down and have a look. I brought my selfie stick, but here we are at the border between Northumberland, Cumberland and Scotland, and there's a group of little signs, and I think this is absolutely fantastic. It was well worth coming just to see this alone. So here we are, there's the Scottish sign, and we go around, and there's the Kielder Forest for England, which is in Northumberland, and as we come round a bit further round we get to Kershope or Kershope or Kershope Forest, or Kershope Forest probably, it's probably meant to be pronounced, but I think Kershope Forest sounds much more fun. So 100 metres of ascent and about a kilometre to the summit, but it's going to be potentially a very tough journey through the wilderness. There's no path as such, so I'll just have to follow the fence.
This is the line of the fence up through the forest, and this is a better part of the route to follow. Most of the fence was buried in the trees, so you had to keep zigzagging across. Looking at the satellite image, it shows a clear route, but obviously the trees have grown in the time. Once on the moor I was able to pursue the rather tough line through the deep heather and tussocks and so forth, but surprisingly just in front of me, I was just about to stand on it, a bird jumped up and I was able to find the nest. It's happened to be I've found two nests on this trip, but this is I've got a photograph of this one, so you can have a look and see what you think of it, and what sort of bird is it. It's probably a skylark, but I'm no expert on these matters, so I'll leave it to you to decide.
Okay, this is Glendhu Hill, G4VFL, and I'm just about to pack up and head off to look for the Halifax bomber that crashed in the war. But just a quick panorama around from Glendhu Hill, the most remote hill in England in terms of measuring it from a public highway. So it's fantastic. But, a bit of a trek to get here, and a bit more of a trek to get back, but quite good fun.
This is the site of the Halifax bomber crash, Delta Kilo 116, which crashed in 1944 when it was on a training exercise and an engine caught fire. 3 of the crew managed to bail out, and unfortunately the other 4 were killed in the crash. There's a number of websites with some information about it. Interestingly, the aircraft, although it's a complete wreck and has been picked over many times, when I had a look around, it's surprising that there's still bits of traces of wiring, which from an amateur radio point of view is quite interesting. The insulation, obviously, because it was a rubber insulation during the war, has long since perished, but you can see the traces of wiring going through the little brackets holding it in place. So it was quite interesting, but very sad that the crew lost their life.
A quick panorama of the most remote spot in England, furthest away from a highway. I didn't take any video when I was at the crash site, but here are a panorama of the most remote spot in England. Quite desolate really, isn't it?
Once I was back at the forest edge, I was able to look back, and I had realised that I could have located the crash site much easier than just using the GPS. There was one uncut tree sticking up where the crash site was, and I could have just walked straight to it and looked at it in the distance. So that was would have made life a lot easier. Well, this is the final pass of the trig point. I activated the summit again on my as I passed it the second time on my way down to go down to the back to the van. But pass the summit and then work your way down, and it's a bit tricky, the route is, so I used the GPS and a pre-recorded route. So I pass a supposedly Bronze Age cairn, but I suspect it's more modern than that. But it's you pass that, and then you move on to Dove Crag, which is found really by the GPS. I'd have had a job to locate it otherwise, and then a very difficult descent following the course of a stream down to the road, and the next part of the video will show my arrival at the road, but that's it for the moment.
Again, I had a trip down following the watercourse, and eventually emerged from the trees here. It was just kept following the gully down, but it was quite tight and there was no path. But anyway, we've done it, and now I'm on the road, so we can head off down, and I'll just show you a little bit. Down here is the you can see right down in the bottom a little green line where the Scottish side of the border is, and the road that I went up this morning. So just head steadily down now.
This is Kershope Bothy, which is closed because of the coronavirus outbreak, but judging by the logbook there's been a few visitors. I put an entry in the logbook also, but I was only just in passing. So remote location, no facilities whatsoever, but if you want a bit of shelter, and it's got a stove and there's ample supply of firewood round about.
It's the end, according to the GPS it must be, but there we are. So that's Glendhu Hill and the Halifax crash site, the remotest point in England, the Anglo-Scottish border with Cumberland and Northumberland, Kershope Bothy, or Kershope Bothy, depending on how you want to pronounce it. And there we are, last little bit. Sorry about the microphone noise, but the wind noise, but yeah, that's it, almost there. Back to the van.
So finally, there's a picture of a screenshot from the base camp showing the route that it took, and it shows where I parked, goes up to the Cumberland, Northumberland, Scottish border, and then on to Glendhu Hill, and you can see there I left there and went down to the Halifax crash site and the most remote point in England, back up to the summit of Glendhu Hill, then a rather contorted route down through Dove Crag, and eventually get into the Kershope Bothy and Kershope Head Bothy, and then through the forest back to where I'd parked in first case, and it was about a 22 kilometre walk. So there you are.